brothers and sisters, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. This is Uncle Lenny. Make sure please you share this video with your friends and leave a comment in the comment box, because the goal is making sure that we reach as many people as we can, so that people can get the information. Last content I mentioned that I'm gonna have to look for someone else I can sit down with, who can try to shed light in so many areas when it comes to development back home. So this afternoon I'm very privileged having this opportunity to sit down with Mr. Masiye, who's going to talk more about what we can do back home. So Mr. Masiye, you're welcome, and introduce yourself to my viewers, please.
Thank you very much. My name is David Masiye. It's a privilege to be here and to talk about issues of interest.
Yeah, thank you. So Mr. Masiye, the last time I was looking for someone else who we can talk in depth about development that we can do at home. So for the sake of the people that are in diaspora, do you have any specific areas that you can highlight, or which areas they can invest back home?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that they can look at. First and foremost, I tend to believe that when somebody leaves home and goes to find another life in another country, you have an ambition, you have goals, and those are the goals that you attend to, and you relate those goals to what you want to actually invest back home. So in my opinion, I tend to think that it's extremely important for us to realize, to say that we have a place where we came from, and it's going to take us to develop our place. So we must have that dedication and commitment to our country, and ensuring to say that, okay, here we have these opportunities, but how can we use these opportunities to further the development back home? And this is how I view, especially the people that are in diaspora. I would like to encourage each and every one of them to say, look, you have a place where what you are actually doing here, you can even do it at home.
At home. Wow. So have you said what he's saying, that we have a place at home? So do you have a specific areas, just in case, because we have brothers and sisters that left the continent a long time ago and they are not very sure on what is it that they can invest. Do you have any specific areas that you can highlight to say, wow, if you try to do this or you can try to do that, maybe this can help you?
Yeah, areas of investments are actually a lot. First and foremost, let's look in terms of agriculture, It's one area in which if you invested in that particular area, the yield that would come out of it, excuse me, is it's greater. You can invest in in real estates. You can invest in all kinds of businesses. What you have to look at first and foremost is, who are you going to partner with back home? Because you are here, you know little or not, you know little of what is going on, and yet you have some form of income that you can use to invest back home. So let's partner with the people that are back home. I've heard, of course, that some people feel to say they find it hard. Now, this is if you find it hard, let us see how you can actually find ways and means of trying to invest. We have governments. Governments have got institutions. We have certain companies that are looking for investors. So if you can broaden your knowledge, then you can actually come up with with what you really want to invest back home. The most important part that we have to take into account is the fact that it's us who are here, who have the resources, who can help developing. When we develop ourselves, it's not only us who benefit out of it, we also have the people back home that are benefiting. If I invest something back home, look, I'm having people getting employed.
Yes.
And if you employ one person, that person is not helping himself. He has, family. He has, relatives. So the investment that goes down, it meets a lot of, it caters to a lot of people. So this is the attitude that we need to develop. I can also add on to say I always quote what the former president of the USA: ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for the country. And we must have that kind of attitude, because the country we're talking about is not the land, it's us, the people plus the land.
Correct. Correct. No, I think you're very, very right that even ourselves, because see, most of the time, the one thing I've actually realized is that we want to be people on the standby to see what the government is going to do. And whatever the government is doing, we are good to criticize what the government did not do for us. But the question is, what is it that we need to do for our own country? So brothers and sisters, we are not talking only about one country as particular, but we are talking about the whole continent at large. If you are from Ghana, you are from Nigeria, wherever you are coming from, we want you to do something at home. Find the area of investment that you can invest. So let's talk about agriculture, because I'm sure there will be so many excuses to say, no, when I go, there's no land. Is there so much land in Africa?
Africa has a lot of land. We know that for real and for sure. And much of the land hasn't yet been developed.
Okay.
Now, you imagine, you see, how vast the resources we have in Africa. Because when we talk about resources in Africa, we have actually all the natural resources we can think of, we can talk about. We know for real to say that the history of Africa has been that which has been plundered, you know?
Yes.
First and foremost by the colonial masters. But the knowledge that we have gained, the wisdom that we have, and the experience that we have that has come out of that colonization, here are the tools that we can use to make sure that we use that information, we use the knowledge, we use the skills to make sure that our content is developed.
Wow. This is really touching. So you are telling me that the fact that we left the continent, so many people have acquired knowledge. Even the work ethics itself has changed. Meaning, if we can divert, if we can get all the knowledge that we have acquired over here and transition it back home, our continent can really change.
For real. Because you see, when people come here,
yes,
of course, some they choose to further their education. And that's knowledge acquired. Some they choose, you know, to use the skills that they have in order to develop themselves. So when you can marry your skills with the technology that you have found here and partner with the people back home, for real, we are going to make a change. Because change comes by the commitment that you have for your own nation. Because when we have seen it, you know, here or in another part of development.
Yes.
Someone can be trained as a doctor, but they just don't end up treating the people. They look at the instruments that they use for the treatment. They divert that skill and knowledge in order to better the treatment of the people. And that in itself, you see, is a form of, you know, skill that you can use back home.
Back home.
So, what is of vital importance is the fact that whatever we have acquired here, we have the ability to use it back home.
So, I'm sorry to cut you up. I have talked to other people that are in diaspora. The excuse is that when I limit my money, my families eat the money. Do you have a message for people like them? Would you encourage someone else, yes, to send the money for investment through other means or other partnership or other government agencies in order for them to achieve their to safeguard their investment? Because most of the people that are in diaspora, they says, no, we cannot invest home because whenever we send the money, our families are eating, or they're going to show us a different place that this is what I'm doing, and yet it's a somebody else's plot. So I have got so many excuses that I get from people in diaspora. What message do you have for people that have got that kind of mindset?
Well, if you look in certain parts of Africa, you have, you know, institutions that have been established that can help you acquire the land.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, we see in certain parts of Africa where, you know, governments have opened up the economy to the locals. It doesn't necessarily mean to say when you send money, you're going to send it to your, you know, family members. as I'm speaking right now, you can buy stocks. Let me talk about, say, Zambia, for instance. You can buy stocks.
Okay.
Whilst you're here, that is another form of investment. You're pumping in your money into the stocks. You let it, lay there whilst, it's growing in terms of, whilst it is growing. By the time you think of going back, you can maybe sell your stocks. Use that money to divert it into some other resources that are of importance to you. So, I know exactly, we need to help families.
Yes.
But there's limitation, as you know. Because one of the greatest mistakes that people in diaspora have made is this. Here's a person, who comes here or lives at home country, goes, let me pick the United States for instance.
Correct.
You get employed, all of a sudden you receive a letter in the mail, and then they tell you, oh, you're qualified to go and buy yourself a car. And then you go there, you go pick the car that you want as long as you know that you can pay for it. But remember, that's not your money.
Correct.
You see? Now, there are people back home, they know us. They know that for this person, within a short period of time to acquire such property, then he makes a lot of money. You see?
Yes.
Because you're forgetting the thinking that they have, because they know how difficult and how hard it is to acquire stuff like that. But if I can acquire it as easily as, they think it is, then they'll say that I'm a multi-millionaire, and the demands will be there.
Wow.
And that, in my opinion, is ourselves to blame, because we don't tell them the truth.
Okay.
Because if we were open and we told our families the truth, then they would understand exactly, the kind of lifestyle that we have here. Yeah.
Wow. And this is really powerful. So in short, we still have to go back to our families, tell them exactly how lifestyle is here, and then on that other part they will understand. So I want to talk a little bit about I want you to talk a little bit about real estate in Africa. I've seen so many Europeans, Chinese are returning back to the continent, and we, the owners of the continent, are running away. I've seen so many Chinese are investing into agriculture and real estate. Would you encourage someone else who is in diaspora, or what is the advantage of someone else who is in diaspora to acquire a land and start building?
First and foremost, you see, you have friends and family back home that can both help.
Yes.
You see, those people have got connections as to where the land is open that one can buy. On the other hand, we also realize the fact that, like I said earlier on, the institutions that, are advertising on the internet. Okay, if you want land in this part of the area, it's available and everything is straightforward. You are not going to be actually, swindled of your money, because everything is well established. And coming to real estates, as a matter of fact, you see, I'll give you a practical example. When you look at McDonald's, first of all, when McDonald's was established, his priority was not so much in selling fast food, it was so much in real estate.
Okay.
Because the investment in that goes a long way, especially in Africa, where, the capacity, in terms of housing is so low.
Okay.
Because if you look at the number of houses people need, and the demand for it, you find that the demand is much higher, but the buildings are less. And I always, tell friends to say, do not underestimate the value of the money that you have.
Yeah.
Even when you've got just $100, send it back home. It's going to do wonders than it can do for you here.
Yeah.
You see? I give practical examples. For instance, if I went to an eating place, a fast food, I can spend like $20, That will just be maybe a meal for myself, or maybe a friend if it's $10 each. But take that same $20, send it back home. It's going to buy maybe a bag of meal. It's going to feed a lot of, more people than the two
food,
of us.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
not for one particular day,
Mm.
but for some days.
Mm.
So do not underestimate the value of the money that you have here. It can do wonders for you.
Mm.
And building, it takes time, I know. But if you get yourself committed, into building, you'll be so surprised and so shocked how the results can turn out for you.
So, brothers and sisters, he has mentioned so many things. If you are from Zambia, I'm sure in Zambia there's building society. One can go through building society. If one wants to acquire a house, you can go direct to building society without dealing with families, and then you can limit your money through. Is it bank building society that was dealing with the properties?
No, like I said, in Zambia there are various organizations that can actually provide that service. It's
Yes.
not only the building society that can do that.
Okay.
You see, you have, and let me put it this way. At times, you see, the people that have actually invested in the provision of the land are people probably that are from other nations, but they've seen the opportunity of the fact that, first and foremost, our country is peaceful. Our country has good natural resources, and politically we are stable.
Okay.
So, you know for real to say that when you invest, your investment will be secure.
Well, I appreciate for highlighting that part. The only thing that I'm trying to bring it across is to try to change this mindset where people are able to deal with families direct, but I want to such a way that people that are in diaspora, they can do the research, find the companies that are dealing exactly down with the land itself, instead of getting through using families. But let's say in Zambia there are a couple of places, you talk like Kingsland. You can easily call Kingsland, start making payments. Between a year or two, you're able to have your own house.
Definitely.
So brothers and sisters, we are here today to talk more about what you can do, where we are coming from. That's the reason why I want to ask so many questions, so that you should not doubt to say, maybe I should only engage my brothers or my sisters, but I want you to engage actual businesses that are dealing with particular investment, so that you should not just return to the continent without knowing anything else. Remember, you have an advantage. What is the advantage of someone else who's in diaspora?
First of all, you're exposed to resources here. There are many ways in which you can raise money here.
Okay.
Either you see through work, through getting, form of loans. They're personal loans that you can use. We know, for instance, you can apply for, depending on the income that you have. Probably, you apply for a personal loan, and it has no collateral involved. Why not use that money to go and invest, and then you can, it becomes easier even for you to pay it back. And not only that, you see, you can. There are many ways at which you can think of how you can utilize the resources that you have. Like I said earlier on, you can actually create a budget for yourself. Most of the people in the diaspora, or like the experience that I have where I am, they get paid twice a month. Work out your budget, you see? And from that budget, see how much you can save and have that amount invested. And I always encourage to say, first, when you can pay yourself first.
Yes.
We know that you can have a checking account and a savings account. Why not have your savings account money taken directly from a checking account? And then at a certain time, once you see that money accumulated, use that money to invest, back home. So it's your personal attitude and the way you look at things. Am I gonna be able to take care of myself when time for me comes to retire? Most of the people find it very, very hard. But if you invested back home, I can rest assure you that your lifestyle will be totally different. You'll be able to take care of yourself in such a way that you find it very, very satisfying, and you say, I'm reaping the fruit of my labor. because remember here, you know, some places they have got what you call nursing homes. They don't know how much it costs.
It costs,
you know, and that's a lot of money. And if you don't even have insurance, it's another thing that you have to think of. But when you look at what you have invested back home, you know for sure that it's going to take care of you. And that's the reason why we are trying to encourage people to always think of investing home.
So, Mr. Masiye, thank you so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges when people return to the continent, because I'm sure there are people that are in governments that will be seeing my videos. What are the challenges that people in diaspora experience when they go back home, so that maybe the people that will be seeing my video can try to alleviate a little bit of the challenge that the diasporans face when they go back to the continent?
It's the same, it is actually the same thing, like, you know, you come here, it's a paradigm shift, you know, everything's totally different. You know, the culture is different, you know, the way of life is different. But of course, back home you have an idea of what is going on. But if you have been away for a long, long time, don't expect what you knew then is what is going on now. That's why it's extremely important, you know, like I said, to always be connected. Find out exactly what goes on in your country. What are the developments that are going on? What is an area of interest that you can look at, you know? Because research has been so much simplified you know, with the technology that exists today. So to get information is not something that is very, very hard at all, you know? You can directly get in touch with government institutions. You can get in touch with the, you know, companies. Gone are the days, especially if I was to come back to building, for instance, saying, okay, if I send money, you know, they use it and what have you. Today I can get a quotation whilst I'm here. You know, I can phone, you know, the company that is selling the stuff that I'm looking for. You know, I can pay directly to that company. You see, then I can arrange to have those things, you know, transported to my place.
To your place, yeah.
Years back, it was not like that. You see, so that's why I'm saying take advantage of the current situation. Take advantage of the developments that are taking place. Immerse yourself in knowledge, you know, so that you can use that knowledge, you know, for your own investments.
So, yes, thank you so much on that part. Right now, we're going to talk about the finances. I like when you said the money that you use here, at $20 here, that $20 is not the same at home. It can buy so much. But now let's talk about the banking system. When I left the continent, I had an account. But every single time I try to access the funds in that account, it seems I needed to know someone else in the bank. Like I have to identify by someone else who knows me. What can you talk about that area that will make it easier for someone else who's in diaspora and yet he has an account at home? Because you see, it's very, very important that we don't keep our finances, because supposing I have a business at home, I will need the funds to be deposited in my account. But yes, I'm away. The banker doesn't need to know me physically, but if I give out all the information pertaining to my account, I'm supposed to do the transaction. So can you talk a little bit, what is it that can make it easier for someone else who's in diaspora to access the funds in a bank which was deposited in the banks back home?
Yeah, actually this is one of the areas that have received a lot of complaints, and they get, you know, people complaining to say, I would like to open, you know, an account back home, but the things that are required, you know, they will require probably my presence so that I can actually, you know, sign. And how am I going to travel when I don't have maybe the opportunity to travel? So let's look at the technology that exists. It would be very prudent, you know, for banking institutions, you know, to make it a point to say that even if you are aware, there's a way you can actually send the documentation that is required for you to open an account. For some of the banks that have developed, or if you open, you know, an account, you can have access whilst you're still here. You can actually check what your balance is. You can check the transaction. You can make, you know, internal transfers and stuff like that. But in that area of, you know, requiring the actual presence of a person to open an account, I think it's something that, you know, needs to be improved upon. In my opinion, yes.
So, brothers and sisters, I know there are some people that will watch my videos. So we are appealing to the people in the governments where we are coming from to make it easier for people in diaspora. Try to change some rules where we have gone, things now have changed. I can open an account here on the phone.
Right.
I don't even need to be at the bank physically. Why don't you make it easier for the people in diaspora to access the financial institution where they can open their accounts, or you can call someone else, verify information through the phone, the fact that that person identifies everything. Then I literally need to know someone in the bank personally who knows me by person that this is Leonard or this is Lenny. It's not really possible. So we would love to see a change in that area. What else, Mr. Masiye, do we want to talk about for the people that are in diaspora? What can you encourage as we conclude, or what do you need the people that are in governments that can help? They can help the people that are in diaspora to make it easier to do business with them.
Well, people in government should also realize that people in diaspora, it's a form of investment on the part of the government. Because when we send money, back home, that money is in form of foreign money. Take for instance the neighbors, Mexico. See the money that they make and the impact that money has on the economy of Mexico. It's a lot. It's the same with us. I know. I've just forgotten, the statistics. I remember I read somewhere to say the money that people in diaspora contributed to the development of Zambia is of greater, it's a great amount. It surpasses some of the donor countries that that give money to Zambia. So the government should realize to say that people are assets. The people that have gone out, they are assets on behalf
of the government.
So make it easier for them to, it's easier now to remit the money back home, but let the government have the attitude to say it's a form of forex that we can get out of our own people that are outside, because they don't get paid in local currency like Kwacha, they get paid in whatever currency that exists in that particular country. So when they're sending the money, of course, it has to be converted, into either pounds or dollars and whatever else. So what the government is getting is a form of revenue. So if government can look into that area and they recognize the fact that it's not just because people have gone out, look at those people as a form of investment on behalf of the
government.
Right.
So the last time when I checked, I think the continent has sent about 20 million diasporas. So there are about 20 million people that have left the continent into various countries. So meaning this is an investment to the countries, guys, that we are coming from. So you got to realize that you have got so much potential that you can do at home. Even the government is supposed to take advantage on the people that are on the diaspora. He has given a very good example about Mexico. The only thing that Mexico has, it's the people that they send into countries like America. And those are the people that limit the forex back home. And that really helps the government when it comes to foreign exchange. So brothers and sisters, this is the message that all of us we have to take. As diasporans, we are all ambassadors for our own continent. We should not just sit down and point out fingers. Let's sit down and look what is it that we can do to our continent, to the countries of origin. What is it that we can do for our nation? Mr. Masiye, any message as we conclude now?
No, first of all, we appreciate the people back home. We know that you love us and we love you too. I want to also thank people that are in diaspora, that the contribution you make to your home countries is important. Feel proud of what you do. You see, you are helping a lot of families. It's not only the families that you're helping, like I say, you're also contributing to the development of the nation. You're contributing to the coffers of the government through the money that you send back home. So in a nutshell, I just say that it works both sides. People back home benefit, we also benefit. So let's work in unity, let's work in harmony to make sure that everything works for good for every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. As we have come to an end, I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Masiye, for taking this time to sit down with me and just to highlight so many areas on which people in diaspora can do. Brothers and sisters, we'll see you in the next content. Be blessed. Thank you.